When you have a dog in the home, you expect it to be a deterrent when it comes to burglars. Even a small barking dog can alert homeowners and scare away an intruder. The last thing you would expect is for your dog to make friends with a thief who showed up to steal something. A homeowner in San Diego discovered that their dog was very good at detecting burglars. But when it came to scaring them away, that was a different story. San Diego police released the strange surveillance video of a burglar who showed up to steal a bike from a garage that was left open. He was immediately greeted by the family dog, but instead of scaring the intruder away, this is what happened. As soon as the thief enters the open garage, he grabs a bike and starts to ride off. But he is greeted by the family dog. The dog follows him outside and it looks like he is about to stop the intruder from stealing the bike. You then see the man bringing the bike back inside the garage. But it wasn't to return the stolen property. Rather, this guy briefly paused his criminal activity in order to play with the dog. The dog approaches, wagging his tail and accepting the kind gesture from his new friend. As the dog obediently sits, it starts to look like these two have known each other for a long time. At one point, the dog even lies down as if it's asking for a belly rub, much to the delight of the intruder. The dog eventually gets up and affectionately starts licking the intruder's face. At this point, the man could simply walk inside and steal anything he wants. It's also safe to say that this is the first time he has ever been welcomed into a home he was attempting to rob. This unusual display of affection went on for nearly a full minute before the thief finally decided to leave. As you can see, the dog was ready for a few more belly rubs. But the guy decided to finish what he came for. That is, to steal a bike. He then rides off into the night, as his four-legged friend watches. The dog never even made a sound while the intruder was there. As you can see, the dog was so friendly that the man actually walked the bike back into the garage and put down the kickstand to play with the frisky canine. You'll note that the dog is a golden retriever. They are consistently ranked as one of the most popular breeds in America. But not because of their protective instincts. Rather, it's due to their friendly temperament. So it's no surprise that this dog simply wanted to play with the stranger. After becoming best friends with the retriever, the intruder takes off with the bike. And this wasn't a cheap bike. This was a 2019 black Electra 3-speed bicycle. The model he stole was an electric bike, similar to this model, and was valued at about $1,300. So these folks had a dog and they also had a security camera. But when you leave the garage door wide open, none of those other things really matter. After this incident, the San Diego Police Department gave the following advice: lock your house. If you have an alarm, activate that alarm and be aware of your surroundings. That's some good advice, but perhaps you should also get a more intimidating dog. If at first you don't succeed, try another bank. That was apparently what one man figured when he initially failed to rob a bank, but then successfully robbed another bank across the street. Police said that a 67-year-old New Jersey man walked into a Wells Fargo bank in Lakewood and handed the teller a demand note. But the teller refused to give him the money. That's a pretty dangerous move, but apparently the teller didn't take him seriously. So the man walked out, but he was determined to make his efforts worthwhile. He then proceeded to walk across the street to the TD Bank and gave them the same demand note. This time, a teller at that bank complied with the note and the man walked out with about $1,500. Then, just 6 days later, he robbed another bank. After he was arrested the next day, police realized he matched surveillance video from the other banks. He's charged with 2 counts of second-degree bank robbery and 1 count for the failed attempt. He was being held in the Middlesex County Jail. It seems strange that people still rob banks with all the security cameras around. But as crazy as it sounds, this man was able to walk away from a failed bank robbery, casually walk across the street and rob a different bank. In other words, they continue to rob banks because there's still a chance they will get away with it. Police in Fairfax County, Virginia are calling him the Bird Bandit. But it wasn't because he was stealing birds. And he wasn't dressed like the Birdman character in the movies. Instead, police were probably reminded of the notorious criminal of the 20th century known as the Birdman of Alcatraz. Police say the suspect, using a knife, had robbed someone at a McDonald's. The suspect was described as being in his late 20s or early 30s with a black cowboy hat. He also had 3 parrots with him. As crazy as that sounds, surveillance footage from a nearby 7-Eleven showed the man with 2 birds on his hat and another on his shoulder. These were not stuffed toys. They were real live birds. It's always amazing how people who commit crimes will often do something to make themselves stand out in a crowd. If you walk around with birds on your hat and shoulder, people will stare and remember what they saw. Witnesses told police the suspect left the area in a blue SUV. Police said he wasn't wearing the birds on him during the McDonald's robbery. However, he fit the description of the robbery suspect and was clearly the same person. As for the birds that appear in the image, no one could figure out why he carried them on his person like some type of fashion accessory. But it's also very likely that he travels with them often and will thus be easy to spot out in a crowd. Or put another way, those birds will eventually get him arrested. And unlike the Birdman of Alcatraz, he won't have his birds in jail.